Moving on. My last entry. Possibly a good game. Clearly not in the top three, I guess, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. Ningami 2 for the Game Boy by Bonely. I don't know.
How do you write that? Ningami.
Bownly. Bow NLY. Bonely. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, before I was just thinking about the name still.
Ningami.
Ningami 2. So put simply and very fast, let's say, in terms of trying to convey what this is. If anyone is familiar with Backpack Hero, it's a similar sort of game. Like it tries to emulate like a tabletop game, if that makes sense a bit. Imagine a bit like Mario Party. Very, very dumbed down. So you've got like a path to take and you roll the dice to go around the path. And wherever you land, you have a boss fight, or depending on the little part little square where you land on, there might be other like an icon, it might be a shop, it might be a lantern, and they all have different effects and give you different things. But generally speaking, you roll a dice and you go around with this character, and you have to reach the end basically of the board and go to the next board basically. It's a deck builder board game, and it offers 4 characters that you can play. Initially, the first one is unlocked, and you have to probably win. I say probably because it was a long game. I didn't finish it all, but I got quite far. And then you got 3 different board types, and it does also say, maybe there's a 4th board type. Question mark. So this game reminds me so much of Backpack Hero, which is a Steam game, probably GOG as well, don't know, where you actually do fights in like a turn-based mode, and you have a set of cards that you build slowly, and those cards are drawn at time of battle, and you get some on rotation. You get a bunch of cards, and you have to make the best strike you can with those cards against the enemy, if that makes sense. So you enter a battle, which you find constantly, and these cards have different effects. For example, there's a chestnut that heals you for 5 health. There's a fan. There's a dagger that does 2 health, etc. Sorry, it does 2 damage, etc., etc. But in a nutshell, how does a battle take place? So it is very simple, but also very effective, I think. So yourself and your enemy have 3 stats in the battle. So you have the heart that represents your life points, and then you have a shield that represents your defense, and then you have an attack power which represents your damage. And then you have something that they call mana here, which in Backpack here is slightly different, which represents the number of turns that you've got. The number of actions, sorry, not of turns, that is wrong. The number of actions you've got. So what that means is that you start your combat, let's say, against an enemy. If he starts first, you can see from his portrait that he is going to do 3 damage, because his damage is a set of 3. So if you have 0 shield, then that damage is going to go onto your life points. So that's going to decrease your life points as 3. So in that case, what you want to do is play a card that enhances your shield to 3 or above. So the damage goes onto the shield and not your health. Very simple mechanic, very simple thing. And that's how it works. That's how all the game works, basically, with a lot of different variations.
It's a bit like a turn-based RPG, right?
Yes. With all the combinations and variations and things that come into play, but it's as simple as that. So, for example, if you've got 20 health and an enemy strikes you for 3 damage and you've got a shield of 2, you will take 1 damage to your life points, and the shield will go to 0. Next,
is there a way to improve your deck of cards, or?
Yes.
Oh.
So as you win the battles, as you go around the board, you will land in shops. Hey, and then or you will find a random card given by a mini boss, or a random card given by an enemy. At times, that's very rare. So the amount of actions you have per turn is it means how many cards you can play in a turn, and that's like your mana points. It's represented by a small little diamond. So say you got 4 actions, it means you can play 4 cards in that turn. So you need to understand which ones you can play. Okay, so now it gets a little bit more complicated where, for example, to use 1 card, it will cost you 2 actions. To use another card, it will cost you 1 action.
Some cards are more valuable or something, or more.
They give, for example, the chestnut that heals you for 5 health, then that costs 2 actions. Then there's there's then an attack, for example, that damages all the enemies on the field, and that I don't remember how many actions. Maybe that costs 2 actions as well. Then there's like a kunai that maybe gives you 1 damage to one of the enemies, and that costs 1 action. And then there's there's cards that also give you the actions back. There's you can understand the complexity of this game, and it's quite mind-bending. I like it because it's a bit like Yu-Gi-Oh in some way, very, 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 very remote. But you have to think and strategize the way you use the cards. There's a card that gives you a shield, and it costs 1 action. But the shield is it gives you 2, no? So, but if you've got 2 enemies on the screen or 3, you have to sum up all the attacks. And then there's more stuff that comes into play. So if an enemy has got a water icon attack sort of thing, it halves your shields. If it's got a fire attack, it ignores the shield completely. And there's all these sort of mechanics, and you have to survive through these rounds and continue around the board until you reach the exit. Again, in a nutshell, this is a very good game. I really enjoyed it. I played it quite a lot and never finished it. Then I started to reach a place where there were starting to be more powerful cards, but I didn't see them all. But I found, that it was really, really nice. Really nice.
Yeah, it looks nice. It's they should have made like the page on the itch.io doesn't have screenshots or videos, or so you won't expect such a good game under this.
No,
because
it seems polished as well. Actually, there was a bug, I think, at a certain point. I remember it didn't register one of my, I don't remember, cards that I pressed or something once or twice. So it still probably has got a bug or 2, but mostly it's quite polished, I would say.
It seems there's quite a few updates as well. So
yeah, so maybe that. You can at any time go and review your card deck and rebuild it, but you have a finite number of cards, and then you have to bin the other ones. So it just says, hey, your deck is full, discard a card, and you have to discard the card that you want. You can't have more, I think, than, 3, 6, 7, 8 times 3, 24 cards. So yeah.
It reminds me a little of a part of Inscription as well.
Yeah. In fact, you're right. You are completely right. This is probably the better approach, but what's it called? Backpack Hero is also the same. Very, 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 very similar. In fact, it's got the same stuff. It's got like the same water. It's got the fire damage, and more stuff around that. But it is very similar to both. Yeah, you're right.
Cool. Well, I always like these kind of games, so I'm also going to play this.
I think Diego would have enjoyed this game because it requires a lot of strategic thinking, especially later on when you have, for example, later on you have a ninja boss, or not boss, a ninja enemy. He's got 24 life points. He hits for 5, and then if you find him combined with other enemies, there's a maximum of 3 at a time. It starts to become really difficult to be able to keep your life points. So the life points as well that you have in the battle obviously they're not a reset when you go out to the board. You have them, so then sometimes you land on a cell that's got a heart, and you can recover some of that health. And sometimes there's a card that gives you the health back. But it's difficult to keep all the life points till the end. I don't know if it's super well balanced, but it seems quite balanced to me. And I wouldn't say too difficult, but reasonably difficult. That's it. That's
I don't know.
pick.
I don't know if it's the goal to beat this game. It's maybe just more like a sort of experience and to see how far you can get.
No, it finishes. So once you reach the end of the 3 boards, the board is quite big as well, actually. So you finished one board, you go out of it, try and find the way out. Then there's another board, but I think it ends. But I've never reached the end.
It says it has 3 different boards, plus maybe even a secret 4th board.
Yeah. But again, for a GB compo, I mean, props to them.
Interesting that it only got 14th place.
I don't
maybe
know.
Because the graphics aren't that interesting or something. The graphics are maybe a bit basic.
But the gameplay is really good, I think.
Yeah.
If you like this sort of games, at least.
Yeah. Well, we're going to check this out. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yes.
Okay, so we brought these games.